Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Crafternoon. I'm Erica, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of crafting with you. This session is all about carving eraser stamps. Something that many of us have done before, probably, I'm thinking. Maybe a few of us haven't. That's okay too. I'm going to show you how I do it. Whoops, I keep shaking the table. Hi, Liz. How are you? Good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? What's new? Have my coffee. Get yourself something to drink. I'm drinking a second cup of coffee. I already had coffee in the morning, but it's time for an afternoon little pick-me-up. Hi, Gina. Welcome. How's it going? What are you guys up to? Ready for a little Crafternoon? So we are going to be making eraser stamps. These are very simple. Well, I mean, simple is kind of relative because even though they're small and they're kind of, they're nothing that serious. It's not like we're making a full-on print or something like that. They're small, so they can be a little bit hard to carve. So I think they're a little bit challenging. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how I do it, like start to finish. And hopefully you have one that you're working on too, and you can kind of follow along. So let's get started. We have an afternoon of drawing. I have all my supplies out, ready to go, and I wanted to show you a little bit of what I had in mind, right? When I made this project, I kept thinking about how these would be really great to just have like regular stamps. And a lot of you guys know that I use the date stamp on my sketchbook quite often. Let me lower I have a little bit of music in the background. It's a little rowdy. But I thought it would be cool to make a stamp that I could reuse for very specific things, right? Something that I maybe just don't want to, get a whole stamp made for that. But, people ask me all the time to make stamps for them. And they're like, oh, I'll pay you if you can make me a stamp. And I'm like, it's so much cheaper if you just go and order it on Amazon, because this is a lot harder than a machine making this. Now, if you do have a machine, I have seen people do it with like the Glowforge, just super cool. I mean, I'd be making stamps all the time, but I don't have that. So I also really enjoy the process of block printing. I always say that my favorite mediums are painting, pottery, and printmaking. And so this is one of the things I do. In fact, I'm selling my stuff at a print show this weekend. So I like to make prints. I've made hundreds and hundreds, no, maybe not hundreds and hundreds, definitely made hundreds of prints, and I usually do it this way. This is just the smallest version. So I wanted to show you some of the stamps I already made. Right, this was all just for the little workbook that I made for you. I made this little stamp. Hi, Sarah. Good afternoon. Welcome. And I wanted to be able to mark like a little bit of information about the stamp. Look, Liz, I started doing this one with yours one day when I joined really late. Have you ever done Carved December? No. Tell me more about Carved December. Printmaking is really fun. I didn't study printmaking when I was in college, but I was very interested in it. And the thing that kept me away from printmaking was that it was so expensive. Like the fees for the classes were always so like out of reach for me. I always wanted to do screen printing. But now that I'm older and I kind of can, do what I want, I can study what I want. I've learned block printing, which has been my favorite. I've also learned screen printing, which is, very cool, but not my favorite. And there's other kinds of prints that I really want to learn. Like, I don't fully understand what the heck is happening in lithography, and I'd really like to learn more about that. But this is like the most accessible, I feel like. It's just a really easy access point for people to participate in printmaking without a lot of equipment, and in a way that's pretty easy. Okay, so I made this little one for the sketchbook session. I also made it in this version so that I could have something where I could write here. Like I joined Elizabeth's streams on Twitch, and it's Art Time with Liz, and I put it right there. Like I wrote it in there, or I think I did on this one, Art Time with Liz on, and then I put the date, right? I made this pickle stamp, which I don't know, I think could have been better. I think it should have been all left behind. I could have removed in a different way. I made these olives. Didn't like that one very much. This one I thought would be a smart one because I like to write a little bit whenever. I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm not a big movie person. But when I do watch movies, I want to like put it in my journal and write a little bit about it. So I made this little like stamp. It says movie thoughts and one for books. So you'll notice that when you carve these stamps, everything is carved in reverse. And that's because when you print it, you want it to print correctly. So I use this little system that I'm sure everybody uses. I just did it. I started doing this with my art students because it just made it so easy. Because we always do a stamp with my beginning art students where I make them carve self-portraits. And we do them really small. And I just have them make a stamp of their face and their name. And this makes it really easy, right? So I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, so I wanted to start by using some erasers. And I had this one. I've already kind of drawn on it, but I'm going to show you the other side. I found these at the grocery store. Perfect erasers for this, but I have this one in my drawer and it is the worst eraser. It literally is, it smears everything. It's not a good eraser. This is the perfect thing to carve. If you have some old erasers that you already know, these are terrible, like carve that, right? So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to put it on my paper. I just have a sheet of white paper here, nothing special. It's printer paper and I'm going to trace around it. I just want to know what my picture plane is. Like, where am I drawing this? How is it going to fit in this space? It's really going to help me to figure out the scale. So a couple of things we were thinking about for printing, and some of you guys chimed in with what you thought would be a good stamp to make. I think Emily, hi Emily, welcome. Emily, you had the idea to do the swatches, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's such a smart idea. So I was thinking about doing that today. I also was thinking about doing one for like coffee of the day because I always put that in my journal also. And then I started doing this like exercise that I saw on TikTok, which is called the Japanese towel method. It's like to help align your spine, which you guys, if you haven't seen that, go Google it because it's wild. And I started doing it and it's like so hard for me that I want to like document myself doing it every day. So that's what I made on some of mine, right? I think I put it on one of these. This one. I just abbreviated it because it was too much and there's no way I'm carving all that out, okay? So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one for, I was thinking about the swatches one that Emily had in mind, so I think I'm going to do that. Hi, Cordelia. Welcome. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And it, of course, come up with something that works for you. I would love to see what you chose, Emily, because this was your idea. Sorry, I was kind of wiggling around a little. So I was thinking I would do like a little painter palette, which would be, you know, kind of perfect for swatches. And I wanted to do just some big chunky letters. And by big, you know, well, these aren't that big, but keep in mind that when you are drawing your design out, even though the space is relatively small, you're going to want to make sure that your letters and your spacing is kind of, you know, big. Like maybe space your letters out a little more than you normally would. It's just really a little bit easier to carve if you have space between things. If things are touching, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. So if this is your first time carving, I recommend you keep it really simple. So I also drew this little shape here, and I had a little bit of trouble earlier because it was just not fitting. So make it fit within that space and then give yourself a little bit of a margin. So you can see I kind of shrunk that a little bit just because I want it to fit. So I have colors and I have this little palette, and then my thought was this. I'm going to put some circles here, and then I could just color them in when I come up with my colors, right? And I'm going to put some extras here. 2, 3. That's a lot of colors. Doesn't mean I have to use them all. What's the average number of colors for a palette? You know what, Emily, I was thinking about that too. And I thought, you know, sometimes I use a lot and sometimes I use a little bit. So I also made this one right here. Right here. And I put a bunch of squares, but I do think, like, you know, you could have just like 2 or 3 colors. I usually have a light, medium, and a dark. And then I have two versions at least of each of those colors. So if I have red, blue, and yellow, I'll have two reds, a light and a dark one, two yellows, a light and a dark one, and two blues, a light and a dark one. So maybe 6 is a good number, but you know, it just depends. Like, depends on what you want. So I'm going to put a lot, and then I'm going to use as many as I want or not, right? And then once I have this here, I'm going to trace it onto some tracing paper. And I have this in a big roll. I don't know what kind of tracing paper it is, but I've had them for, I think, decades. Decades, of course, because I got, like, somebody gave me a bunch of them that they didn't know what to do with. I had, like, you know, 100 rolls of this stuff, and I've just slowly, like, gone through it. I have some. I took a lot to my classroom. So I have this in big rolls, and I just cut some little pieces off. Yes, tracing paper is going to be really helpful. I think you can also use maybe like parchment paper. You just want something that has like not a surface tooth where the graphite can kind of like sink into. You want it to really sit on the surface, because when I transfer it over to my eraser, it's all you have to do is like press it to the eraser, and it's going to like automatically transfer. So that's the idea here. You can probably use parchment paper, maybe. I don't think wax paper would work. I was also thinking about, what else was I thinking? There was something else I was like, oh, I have this paper here. I think that's parchment. It just has to be something that doesn't really absorb the graphite. Okay, so I'm just going to sketch it on right here. Now, do you have to do all this? No, but you could just get the eraser and draw directly on it. However, if you're going to draw anything with letters, be sure to reverse your letters, right? So that's why I like this process, because when you transfer, it automatically reverses for you. I think this is helpful for my students because they don't fully get that. I mean, I make new mistakes all the time too. I still do. I still make mistakes where I accidentally forget to reverse something, and it's like, what? So I do this because it kind of makes that part foolproof for me. Okay, so I have it sketched out. I'm just really hoping it's gonna fit, because I tend to, like, I struggle to draw small, but you can see it right here, okay? So this is what I'm going to put. You can also flip the page over and put it up to the window. Yes, absolutely. You can put it on the window so that you have like a makeshift light box. And that way you have your drawing in the reverse like this, right? Because this is the way we want it. We want it to look like this. So this is my really awful eraser that I hate, right? And this is where I was going to put it. I'm just realizing now this is probably going to make things a little confusing for you guys because of the fact that we see this other little text. I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, I'll do a different eraser. Okay, so this is not the right direction. I traced it in the wrong direction, but I think I can still work with it. So sometimes what I'll do if I'm having trouble like fitting everything in is I'll transfer it separately. So let me see if I can get a little closer here for you guys. I don't know if I can because my tripod is pretty far away and it doesn't really like me to go that far. Yeah, she's a little tricky. Okay, so here I can see that my letters are going to land on the eraser and they fit in. So you can use a bone folder. That's what I use, but normally I'm just very practical and I just want to do it quickly. So I'm just going to use my fingernail, and I don't even have nails, right? I have no nails. I'm just going to kind of burnish it. This is what I call it, like you're pressing the back of this so that way it can transfer over. And if you lift up your paper, you'll see it transfers. So there is going to be a little bit of a trickiness because it's going to be hard to see with the other like little print that's on the back of this, but let me do the rest of it. So now I'm going to scoot it over a little because I noticed the palette wasn't fully fitting, and I'm just going to transfer the palette. So I'm just scratching my nail over all of the graphite. I just want it to press. Now, I really don't think you need to do all of this. Like normally it presses just when you touch it, especially with these softer vinyl erasers. It transfers so easily. Sometimes before you even get a chance to put it down, like it's already transferred. But you can see it has transferred, right? So, used your thumb pad like that, just like that, pressed it. Yeah, that's perfect. You have this eraser too. This particular one, isn't it the worst eraser? I don't know. Maybe it's because mine is really old. I have so many like half-used erasers. I was like, I want to use those. And much of these, that's what they were. These were just used erasers. And then I do have this one here. I bought a couple of them. So we'll try those too. I found that that one was really soft and really easy to carve. Okay, so here's my image, and it is a little complicated over here. I'm gonna go over it just so it's clear. And you want to use your pencil that has been like, that has a little softened point. You don't want a really sharp pencil for this. It will be very hard to do. So that's the only one that I'm gonna have trouble seeing, but I'm gonna try to figure it out as I go. And I like to just thicken everything at this point. I do this because I think a thicker line is an easier to carve line. But you can leave them really thin if that's what you want. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to think about, and I'll share this with you. Now, my particular method that I like to do is I always say that I'm going to carve out everything except for the pencil, right? So what I end up getting is a print that looks just like my drawing, right? Now, a lot of my students, especially, their instinct is to carve the pencil, which is opposite of what I do. If you do that, you'll end up with a black box with white letters, which is totally fine too. In fact, for this palette, I think it might be cool if I leave the entire palette black and I put spaces here. I don't know. I'm starting to think about how the color might show up next to a filled in palette. It might not be ideal. So if I decided to do that, what I would be doing here is just cutting out the empty white spaces. But you, of course, can choose how you want to do this. Like if you are a little nervous about carving letters, I think that's where I have the most trouble, or that's where I need the most like precision. Then you might want to just leave all of this black and then have white letters. But I prefer it this way, so I'm going to try that. Okay, now this part's going to get really complicated. I'm not going to fill it in, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to perform it in that way. I'll show you. Okay, now let's talk about these carving tools. I will share a little bit about them. These are the ones I use. I have lots of different versions. I have the speedball wooden ones also, where you just kind of stick the little blade on top of it. And these are nice because they have a little storage inside the handle, so you can use any and store all of your other blades, right? So I find that I really just use one blade. The one that I always like is a V-gouge. Sorry, there we go. V-gouge, and it is small. Like, let me show it to you right here, right there. There's our V-gouge. It's like it's not too wide, right? I'm sure there's numbers or something that coordinate with this. This is the one that all my students always want to use, the tiniest one. I don't love it, but you know, I will use it when I need to. And then this is what I use for big areas. So I usually just have these three available, but I usually start with the V-gouge. Now, like I said, I'm going to remove everything except for the pencil mark. So I want the pencil to be floating around there, right? I'm going to try my best. Let's see what happens. I don't know. So I first like to just start by wait, I need my glasses. This is definitely the kind of thing that I need my glasses for. And you guys just tell me my head gets in the way. So if I'm trying to navigate like a really slender space, I put very little pressure on my tool so that way I'm only using that very narrow point at the bottom of my carving tool. There. I'm gonna move this. I just don't want more like black graphite all over me. And I'm just gonna outline everything. This is a really good place to start just because you can kind of warm up if you've never used these before. You wanna move away from your body. So try to keep your hands behind your tool. So my tool's moving in this direction, my hand is behind it. So you don't want your hand here because if you slip, you can have an injury, and we don't want that. It's not a pleasant way to remember your carving experience. So I'm going to take out all of this negative space. I always encourage my high school students to start here. Any negative space that you know you're not going to put in there. I don't want this to print, so anything I don't want to print is going to get removed. I'm always really impressed. Some kids are like really meticulous, and all of their lines will go in the same direction, and I have to say I love that. I try to do that. It doesn't always happen for me, but I'm going to go around these letters. These are going to require a little bit more attention, and so I'm going to do those parts later, but I'm just going to take out this negative space right here. So all of this, I'm just removing it. Now, you don't need to make this really deep. Every cut doesn't need to be really deep. All you really need to do is make the parts you don't want to print be lower than the surface. Hi, Em. So that's all I'm going to worry about. Like, how do I make sure that the parts I want to be gone don't show up, right? So this is what I have so far. You can see the carving. And I was going to tell you another thing about this. The other thing I find is that if I dig too deep in with my tool, if these, and this is my general rule that I tell my students, if the tips right here go under the surface, you're not going to get a good cut. So make sure that the tips stay above the surface. And also, you know, just kind of keep your little shavings, your little leftover bits, keep them neat in a pile nearby you. Obviously do it however you like, but this is what I tell my students. I'm like, keep a nice little neat pile, and then you can throw it away at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go around these letters now. I did find, I know there's an artist who does really intricate small little stamps like this. I've seen them on, I don't remember if it's like Instagram or I don't know where, but I want to say it's Eric. Eric makes small things or something like that. And he prints these tiny, or he makes these tiny little stamps. And now you can buy the stamps at, like, I've seen them at one of these stationery shops here in Texas, but they're really, really excellent. Like when you watch his videos and you're like, the letters are so tiny, and it's amazing to see that somebody is carving that. And I know that I saw that they were using an X-Acto knife, right? So I'm going to bring out a craft knife just in case I need it, and I'll tell you where I've used it. Now, I did have some success. I've never really used the craft knife, but I had some success using it on the circles. Like anything circular can be a little hard to carve for me. So circles were made a little bit easier by carving with a craft knife. I'll show you what I did for them. I did kind of like an interesting little cut, but boy, they made like a really easy work of it. So I'll show you that. If we can get into this like tiny little spaces, I will show you that. I also kind of really feel like, you know, having a nice, having good lighting and having a space where you can see really well is going to be really important here. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't know if that's just me, maybe because my eyes, now that I'm getting older. Okay, so I'm gonna take out that little inside. We'll see how that prints. We don't know yet. Okay, I'll show you on the R here. So what I did for the interior when I had that little bit of trouble, like that's really small, and it's not a really easy space to carve with the shape that goes along with the shape of the knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my knife and I'm just going to trace the inside. And when I do that, I'm going to try to come in at an angle. And the idea is just to kind of like bring it to a point in the center so that that way it just pops right out. So I try to carve in a diagonal direction, just there. And then the inside comes right out. just like that. See, it's this tiny little bit right there. That would have been really hard to take out with the carving tool. I mean, probably with the smaller tool would have been easier, but let's see if that works. Okay. Take that one. Ooh, I accidentally carved too much. See, I didn't have a lot of space here between my O and the R, so I accidentally took out too much right here. You know, sometimes if that happens to you, like it did to me, you know, unfortunately, there's not really anything you can do to fix it. Unless you guys know, you'll tell me. Is there a solution for that? Because I always tell my students, you know, think twice before you cut, because once it's cut, it's cut. And it will be very, like, I mean, it's not possible for us to fix it. My students will do that all the time. They'll come to me and they'll be like, ma'am, I cut this out wrong. And I'm like, oh, well, now we have to just roll with it. Like, think about how it's going to look, if you're okay with it, but move on. Like, keep going. You can't, like, worry too much about it because it's already done. So I'll show you what remains there. I'll just go over the surface like this. Like, there's going to be a little gap. You'll see that. It's fine. We'll get to see it in a little bit, and I'll show you my print. Okay, let's do the little palette now. So I'm going to do the reverse method here. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to take out the white, like, circular spaces, and I'm going to leave the shape of the palette in, okay? So I don't know, I'm just thinking that maybe I don't want all these circles. Like, there's so many of them. So, oh, let me try it with the knife. So let's try cutting these down, and maybe I'm gonna make them, let me change the shape a little. I just have to visualize it. Let me try the 6. So let's do, okay. I'm gonna carve out all of this right here. 1. I'm gonna try scooting them. I don't know, I just don't want to throw you guys off. I don't want y'all to be all confused, like, what is she carving? Okay, I'm gonna just go around, and I'm moving my knife in a diagonal way. You see the inside comes right out, right? Just like that. And so ignore my pencil lines, because now I'm just drawing. I'm doing them any way I want. I'm going to reduce it from 10 to 6, or I'm going to try to. So I'm going to make new shapes here. I'm going to try to make them a little bit wavy so they kind of look like paint blobs. Ooh. You can see I'm just moving the eraser there. Now these do go in a little deep, but I don't think it really matters for something like this that is so thick, right? Now if you don't go in too deep, you'll be able to use the other side if you feel like it. There's 3. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger here. So you can carve a second stamp on the back of it if you want to, and if you don't go in too deep. There we go. There's 1, 2, 3 spaces. I'm going to try to do 6. Fingers crossed. But I'm so torn about that, because even though I just told Emily that 6 is a good number, I think, I prefer an odd number. I don't know why. It's really, like, bothering me. I'm just like, ugh, 6? Really, Erica? 6? Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to try to do 2 more, but I think maybe if I have room, I'll put 7, just because I prefer an odd number, which is silly, I know. Like, it doesn't really matter, but maybe that could be like our bonus color. Like, you know, remember how we needed that, like, little pop of color? I don't know why. Like, is it necessary to worry about that? No. Am I still worried about it? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. I can very well stop right here. I'm going to try to, there we go. And that one pops right out. I do think I'll just do the last one with the carving knife so that you can see You know, it might be, I feel like, let me use a small one. I feel like it's just a little bit more like difficult to go into around these small little like curves, but that might be better for you. Please do it the way that you feel most comfortable. You can see there. I think I accidentally blended those two together. Okay. So there, I feel like I've carved everything. Let's print it. So before I print anything, I like to tidy up. I got all my little tissue, my little tracing paper is just like flying around everywhere with it. Okay. Okay, and here's my little carvings, not much. Okay, and here's my stamp. Sometimes before I do this, I just wash it. Like I'll take it to the sink and I'll rinse it off, and sometimes you end up with like a lot of dust and like debris in there, and I just don't want that on my stamp pad. So, you know, do that if you like. I know I am pretty fast, Liz. I always have to remind myself that, like, and especially when I'm teaching in my classroom, because my students are they're not as fast, but also, you know, they're having to like watch me and then try it. And so I always have to force myself to slow down. So here's what it looks like. Kind of looks like a turtle shell or something. And then I'm just going to press it right there. Okay, so there's my stamp. I really like it. Let me get it a little closer for you so you guys can see. Glue and a toothpick can be used for repair. Wow, Cordelia, I never thought about that. That is smart. But it depends on the eraser and the glue. Some will stick and cure and some won't, but you have to be patient. Okay, that is really good to know. That is very helpful. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And here's the stamp, right? So here's what I like to do at this point. I will look for any little marks that I don't like that right there, and I'll go and carve them out again. The R doesn't look too bad. I definitely thought I took out like half of that little bottom leg. The S needs a little bit of correction as well up here at the top. You can see that empty space is not quite carved out. Maybe I missed it. So I'm going to clean it up. I always say like this is like we're like proofing it, or you know, we're kind of revising a little. Okay, so I'm going to carve that. Try to take out any little bits I don't want to print. Right there. And let's see if we can get that inside of the S. I always just like knock it on the side. Let me use a small one because this is a little bit slim. There we go. Oh, I don't know if I overdid it there. We'll see how that turns out. So I'm just going to look at my proof and see if there's anything else I need to get rid of. These did pick up a little bit of ink, so I'm going to carve that out a little bit deeper just so I don't print it. I'm struggling around the letters, but I'm going good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it takes practice. I mean, I've made so many of these, and you know, for a while there, I took a lot of commissions making portrait stamps. Remind me to share those with you guys. I'll show you guys. I made a lot of portraits of people, and they were small, and so I got a lot of practice doing really small stuff. My friend misspelled something on a block print the other day, and she just cut the tiny letter out and replaced it with another tiny letter. That's absolutely a great way to do it. So, I mean, you can make them in separate ones. Like I made a print also this weekend, and I didn't like one part, so I cut it out, and then I ended up just like revising the whole thing. But you can always take it out and you can jigsaw it. Yes, that's a perfect tip. Thank you so much for sharing that, Daisy. So I'm going to try printing it again. I had a little bit under the S. Oh, the C also looks a little weird, like a G. So I'm going to take some of this out because it's not looking, I feel like it's not going to read properly unless I remove some of that. Hopefully that'll be better, but I feel like the top also looks a little funky. So I'm going to take some of that off. Okay. Took that off. I can see some little bits around the O that didn't really print, but I could see them there and they have ink. So that means they're reaching the ink. So I'm just going to take them off. Now, personally, I actually kind of like a little bit of that printy stuff because it, you know, reminds you that this is a print, and it's like a block print very specifically, and it's you know, made by hand. So I don't always take everything out, but sometimes I like it nice and clean. Okay, we're gonna try again. Take out all that excess. I always have my students do revisions, and they have to show me their revisions. So they have to show me version 1, version 2. So I also usually will stamp or like ink it like this, just because I feel like I get it just on the surface where I want it. Press. Oops. Okay, so version 2 doesn't look as good there. Let me try that again. In fact, I'm like, it looks worse. How did that happen? Okay, let's clean up that area. I didn't press it enough, especially on the top. There we go. That's better. Huh. Aw, that's so nice, Emily. I wish my students felt that way. They're often like, Miss B told me to go make more changes. You know, that I just expect them to do great. This just reminds me so much of like a turtle shell. It doesn't really look like a palette to me, so I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. But I feel like maybe I can make a few corrections on the S. It does look a little funky right on the edge. So very carefully, I'm going to try to clean some of that up. Maybe take some of this off the S. And maybe some from down here. There. I feel like the R still looks a little too chunky, so I'm going to try and remove a little bit there. I like the my letters to kind of have like a similar like weight of the line weight around them on each one, and that can be a little tricky, but try to see if I can make some of these a little bit more slender just so that they kind of match. Okay. I don't know, this L looks a little funky from here, but now if you like it, you know, just stop and leave it alone, because it's really easy to, I was gonna carve off the excess, but I think I'll leave it on so that I can carve the back of it too. Okay, one more. Let's see what it looks like. Just tap the surface. And very handy. My letters are rough. On my way to do more funky shapes. Yeah, and I feel like you can just like start with very simple letters. I still got a little bit of that, but I don't think that's bad. It's not bad at all. So then let's just try it. Like in my sketchbook, I'll put it here. I don't have a black stamp pad, but I do feel like maybe I need one. I think I just have green and violet right now, so, or like a dark kind of plum color. So I can put this like right here. And then I would let it dry, and then I can come back in and fill in those little gaps. Now this ink is, it's permanent, it's waterproof, so that's great because it means that when it's dry, I don't know if this is too soon, I can just fill it in with my water-based markers, right? So you can use it with your Tombos, or you can use it with your acrylic markers as well, right? Okay, so I could just fill in the ones I want to fill in. and leave the ones that I don't use empty. Okay, so those are my colors. I think it looks so cute. I mean, it doesn't really look like a palette until you start filling it in. Hi, Clarissa. Thank you for joining from Tennessee. Have you ever tried this? You should. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be good. And remember, we can do it in a couple of ways. So we can do the positive or the negative. A lot of people I know use the negative method, where you just cut out the pencil lines, and it is a lot easier. But I personally don't like the way that looks. I don't like a negative version. Let's try it. We'll try it as well. I mean, it's 2:42. We have time. I was going to do this one, but I also have, I thought I did one more. Hold on. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't. Did I draw some more? I feel like I did. How did I do it? I have this one, the color swatches, and I drew some more, I think. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I was thinking about doing these little smiley faces, because that's kind of like a mood tracker. Or you could just color in the one that you want. Personally, I don't like any of these. I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of those. So maybe we can try, I already have one on the back here. Let's do one of these like small ones. And that way we can try the negative. We'll see if we can do this. So if you're trying this like for the first time, letters can be really tricky. So I recommend you start with something really simple. So let's say on this one, I'm going to make a stamp that it just says, what can I do on this one? Do you ever struggle to take out your carving nibs or putting them in? Sometimes I can't get them to come out unless I take it all apart. Really? Let me try that. Have you kind of like given them a little, well, this one's giving me trouble. Hold on. Yeah, sometimes, you know, I have, yes. And I feel like I've had to like smack them. I smack them sometimes. Sorry, disregard that. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just showing you what I do. Yeah, mine is stuck. Wow, that is interesting. It's because I feel like sometimes, and I feel like mine's on the wrong side. There it is. I can feel it coming out. Definitely grab it with like a towel or something, because they can be, I mean, they're sharp. That's a knife, right? So be careful. I'm gonna just use my shirt here and I just don't want to cut myself, right? Because it's just no fun. Yeah, mine is definitely stuck in there. You lost a word. It happens. It happens. I think I've been putting them in the wrong spot. Really? So where are yours? Like mine is definitely stuck in there. And sometimes I find that this sticks. And so, there it is. Usually they should come out really easily like that. So I put mine between the two. Okay, let me show you that again. Okay, if you look inside here, there's like this little ball and there's a little curved sheet of metal right above it. So I usually slide my piece into that space between them. And then I hold this steady and, whoops, try again. One more time. Slide it in between and then screw it on. I don't know, is that how you do it? Let's try this one. Is this one stuck? This one feels really stuck. I do feel like sometimes it does get stuck if this piece comes up a little bit and it kind of gets jammed, but you know which ones? That's why I really like the wooden ones. Have you seen the wooden ones? These are Speedball. All of these are Speedball. And you can go to like, you know, a craft store at Michael's. I know they have it. And it's a little kit. And it comes with this pink stuff. And so if you don't have an eraser, you can carve from this. So this is perfect. This is essentially the same thing. In fact, I would argue that maybe this is actually an eraser as well. Yeah. My students always say, oh, is this an eraser? I'm like, it's not supposed to be, but yeah, it is. So you can buy a little kit. You can probably buy a little kit on Amazon, which will be just printmaking stuff, like the tulle and the pink stuff, and I don't know if it comes with a little like these little like brayers, and you could use that. But I like to use, whenever we do small stamps in my classroom, we always use stamp pads. It's just easy and fast. I have also rose quartz. Hi, Clarissa. I have a link on my Patreon that has all of the materials, like in a my storefront on Amazon. So if you want to go to Amazon and like find it there, you would look for something like block printing or lino cut, or I have a link with all of the tools that I use for block printing on my Amazon storefront. And if you purchase through my link, I make a small commission on every purchase that you make. Yeah, you can go to Michael's and get it right away, which is so nice. Because especially if you have one nearby, right? So we're going to try another one, something really simple. I'll just do one that says something like, I don't know. What should I put here? Mood. And then that way this could also be like a mood tracker, right? But this way I wanted to do something that would be really simple and that we can do this in a negative. Okay, so I'm going to make nice chunky letters. And that way you get to see the difference here. I think I'm gonna make this totally full. Just like that. I don't know about this one. This one I might leave the inside in. Okay. So I have this. I'm going to trace it again. This is my space that I have to worry. This kind of reminds me of like a cute little like what do you call those, like a store sign or something, you know, those vertical signs that go on the side of the building. Right here. Now the only thing I'm going to do differently here is that I'm actually going to carve out all of the graphite, right, the pencil, and I'm going to leave the rest of it uncarved. Okay, so I'm changing this one a little bit. That's what I have. Maybe make it a little thicker so kind of matches the thickness of the M, like that. Okay, now I'm going to use this very small eraser here. I'm going to flip it over, center it as much as I can. I'm not so worried about the box. I'm more worried about the letters fitting all in there and that they're kind of in the center. And then just give it a little rub. You'll see it. Let's just do it gentle. I usually give it a really good eraser burnish. I'm going to scratch the whole thing until, and then I peek to make sure it transfers before I remove it. Just because I don't want to have to try to line it up again. Peek. Few little issues and not really a big problem for me. There we go. I'll put that there. So this is going to be a little bit of an opposite practice, but I think this will work because I want this to be like a mood stamp, right? And then I can put like a face into each of the little O's. So all I'm going to do here is remove the letters. Okay, so I'll also show you, right? It would be a good one for your journal because then you can kind of track like how you're feeling, especially you right now, because you're going through so many like, you know, changes and you've got like all this like new stuff happening. It'll be really cool to, you know, document how you felt about those days, because sometimes you might be feeling really good and really happy and other times you're feeling like overwhelmed. So just nice to put in the journal, I think. Okay, wait, what am I doing? I'm removing the letters. I almost forgot what I was doing there. So normally I go around the graphite. Where are my glasses? This time I'm going to actually remove the graphite. You'll just get to see how different it looks. This one should be fast, so it shouldn't take too long. And this is usually the way that my students automatically do it. Sometimes they start working without me, like listening to instructions without me giving them the go-ahead. And then I'm like, what did you do? And they always do it this way. Because, I mean, it makes sense. I can understand. It's like your instinct is to remove the lines that are drawn for you. But it will give you a negative image, which isn't bad. It's just different. And I don't really like it personally. I don't like the way it looks, like the negative image. I think it's really, because you know, you're usually going to have this on white paper or light colored paper. And the letters or like the negative space is going to be dark. So I don't know. There's something about that. It just looks kind of like, you know, X-ray-ish, and I'm not into it. But if you love that, maybe you're going for a total like dark kind of like gothy vibe. I don't know. Then you can do this reverse version. I've also seen some people do this and then create like a small border around it. And what that does is it makes it so that it's not like, it doesn't fully look like a negative because it has like a white boundary around it. But it's just not my cup of tea. Okay, so there we are, right? Mood. Let's try it. In my little area here. Stamp pad, take off the glasses. Okay, and then you'll see, whoa, sorry, excuse me, forgive me. Okay, and you're going to see how different this is going to look. Okay, so we get everything dark, and then the letters are white. See if we can get a nice impression there. Perfect. And then when you're in your journal, see if I can find my pen. I could be drawing myself a little very happy today. Let me show it to you up close. It's a little far. Right there, right? So I see a little smudging right there that I want to get out. Carve that out. I missed that little spot. There's another one in the other O. The M looks okay. Maybe a little thin right here. Make it a little chunkier. So if you're going to try this for the first time, definitely remember nice chunky letters. More space between letters than you would normally leave. And keep it simple for your first ones because they can be a little challenging. I'm going to show you. Oh, that one was a nice print. Look at that one. And then I can document my moods. So, I mean, I think just doing like different carvings, like practicing carving, small things, big things, that will be helpful. And of course, having like multiple tools at your disposal, this is a good one to start with because it'll give you a lot more control so that you can go around things more easily and then create like a little bit more precision. And of course, take your time. Work slowly. You don't have to finish it really fast. Just work slowly, carefully, and thoughtfully. Think before you cut. As my dad would always say, measure twice, cut once, and hopefully you don't make mistakes. But, you know, we were notorious for always making mistakes, but we still said that. Let's see. Liz says, oh my gosh, somehow I must have leaned on my ink. I have midnight blue ink on my wrist. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Yeah, I know. I was super inky just playing with my ink pads, and you know, it's just art. You know, you're just an artist. What are you gonna do? All right, you guys, we are wrapping up. It is 2:55. So I don't know. Did you finish yours? How are you doing? How are we going? Who has something to show? I know, Emily, you worked really, really fast. And I saw that you had already like shared some with us, which is super cool. Makes me super excited. I have a bunch of them too. Recommendations that you try making something for your movie ideas when you are thinking about movies that you watch. I know, Clarissa, you like movies or even like shows. You could put like series, right? There's my movie thought stamp. I also made one for books that I'm reading. But this one I'm not super happy with. And this is a negative. Oh, upside down. Try to put them in the same direction. I think that's a good idea because then when you're stamping it, you're making sure you get in the right place. And this one I came with an eraser that was already like broken. It had a big scratch in the middle, so I end up with that. Sketchbook session. This is a bit too small for me to work. Yeah, I definitely understand. I think one of the things that you should do if you're going to work with something so small like eraser stamps is just keep it really simple. Like less is more with eraser stamps because they are so small. These are all the ones I carved this week. I made this ugly olive one, but I don't like it, so I'll show it to you, but it's ugly. I'm warning you now. Here. And then the pickle. I think the pickle would have worked better if I had done it as a negative, where everything ends up green, and then there's like white carved lines. There's my pickle. What else did I make that I can show you? I already did that one. The mood. I have a bunch, but these are the ones I made just recently. So I will probably carve this one out for my Japanese towel method. And if you need to decompress your spine after sitting in your chairs for so long, you should join me there and tell me what you think because it's literally so hard. I can't even believe it. Thank you. I love pickles. I'm in a pickle frenzy right now. Everything I just keep buying pickles. Let's see. You just watched Blink Twice and had many thoughts. Yeah, and you know, since I don't really watch a lot of movies, and you know, Clarissa, I was going to tell you, I saw Obsession. Emma and I saw Obsession, and I did not like that movie. But I don't really like scary stuff, just in general, everybody. Just so you know, I don't like scary stuff. I don't like gross stuff. I don't like horror in general. I like cute, funny horror, like from the 1970s or something. I don't like it to be real, and I want it to feel like, you know, believable. If it looks believable, I don't like it. But yeah, I think like whenever I watch a movie, I like to jot down my thoughts just because it's not very often, but it usually makes me think. You did? We have to talk about it for sure. I have a very different impression now that I've been like kind of seeing a lot of TikToks about it. But yeah, I left that movie being like, I hate this movie. You moved to Florida and got introduced to Wickles. What's a Wickle? Please tell. I don't know what that is. I mean, I like anything pickled, honestly. The asphyx, you would love the thriller. Oh, no, I've never even heard of it, but it sounds awful. Is it about not being able to breathe? Or like asphyxiation? Because that sounds awful. Is it like old? Because I think I could do old. Like if they're like campy and funny, I like that. Oh, spicy pickles. So like cucumbers, right? Cucumbers, but they're just spicy. Yeah, I saw this, you know, Instagram reel, and somebody was making something called cowgirl candy. And it was essentially like pickled jalapenos that also have cherries and pineapple in it. And I made it, and I didn't like it, but it looks so good. I don't know. Maybe I haven't found the right thing to put it on. So maybe when I find that, I'll figure it out. Okay, I do love spicy pickles. In fact, I mean, I really like any pickle. I like just a regular basic pickle too. So, but I really want to try pickled okra because I've never had that. I don't really like okra, but I like pickles and I love olives. Love olives. I'm an olive person. You make the candied jalapenos? Nah, I mean, this was the cowgirl candy was candied. Well, obviously, right? I guess. It was really good, but I mean, it has a lot of flavors. I don't know. I just don't know what to put it on. Like, what am I going to use all this pickle for? And then I also made tomato pickles, which we love tomatoes, so they were really good. It's an old movie about this photographer who sees black smudges in his photo. Oh, that does sound like something I would like, Clarissa. Thank you for sharing that, the asphyx. I'm going to write that down. We usually serve, that's what I was thinking, Liz, that on cream cheese with crackers would be really good. Like on top of a block of cream cheese, this would be perfect. Just the jalapenos. I think with the cherries and the pineapple, that would also work really well because cheese and sweet goes really well. Cowboy candy or candied jalapenos. Yes, amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to wrap up now. So we will be doing another Crafternoon on Thursday, same time. 2 p.m. Central Time. I don't know if we'll be doing any carving that day. I know that I have other things I want to try. So we'll see. I will keep you all posted on Patreon. I will share like maybe the day before what we're going to do. And it could be drawing, which I really like to do. And maybe even, I know for our Patreon club meeting this month, we're going to do something with journaling. So, I mean, we can use this in our journal, guys. All right, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your day. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me and keeping me company while I crafted in my studio. I hope to see you guys on Thursday as well. Tomato pickles sound so, they were really good. Bye, guys. Have a beautiful day. Talk soon. Take care. Bye.